Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. We've got lots of football to talk about, but first and foremost, if you've got a chance, why not hit the subscribe button? You'll get, of course, uncensored, unbiased and unmatched coverage Monday to Friday on the Football Show, and of course across our website, right across the YouTube channel. And if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news. It's well worth joining the football family, and it's absolutely free. So hopefully you'll become part of it. Tell your friends, share the feed, and give us your thoughts, because the great thing about our YouTube show at 4 o'clock every day is you can engage with not only fellow fans, but you can pass on your comments to us and we'll react to them as well, providing of course you keep the heat. That's what we say, Ruffy. Yeah,
keep the heat. Fortunately, I don't see the keep the heat people who come into the show through the computer, but I'm sure most of the majority do. Tam sometimes has a wee gander and laughs his head off as he realises he's getting absolutely.
It's usually getting slaughtered. I don't want to say him because he's a sensitive big guy.
Yeah, housewife's favourite. Errol, hi to you, hi to Gregor, as well as Bob Miller, Alan Woods, Thomas Lee, lots of people who always seem to get on, boom, right on 4 o'clock, and if there's a technical hitch, they're all over us like a rash. So thankfully the meter has been fixed, and we'll look as if we're all okay to get into World Cup business, domestic things that have really hit the forefront over the last 24 hours. So we've got lots to talk about, and let's not forget we've got competitions as well as our quiz question, which is, I think it's an easy quiz question if you know your football. The question today is quite simply regarding Germany. How many appearances have Germany made at the World Cup? So take a guess. How many times have Germany played at the World Cup, including this World Cup as well? Give us your bet on that one.
Is this years or games?
No,
years. How many
competitions have they competed in?
All right.
Give us your guess.
10.
Tam?
14.
Okay, it's all about a guess. Try not to look it up. Give us a guess. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Of course, two great competitions. The first of them is well worth getting involved in. It's absolutely free to play. If you go to worldcupfandex.com, our partners there are giving you the chance to win some great cash prizes.
Come and join PLZ Soccer on Fandex for our FIFA World Cup 2022 stock exchange game. It's absolutely free to play, and you have the chance to win some great cash prizes. You can buy shares in your favourite team and watch their stock price increase or decrease based on their real-life World Cup performances against the expected points tally set by Fandex. You can buy and sell as many teams as you like, as often as you like, with winners being announced after every round. The PLZ Soccer family are waiting for you on Fandex. Head to plzsoccer.com and click on Fandex World Cup 2022.
There you have it. We'll also give you a chance to win some vouchers for some great retro shirts on the Greaves Sports website. We've teamed up with Greaves and Copa, and that's coming up shortly as well. Okay, let's deal with some of the issues that are kicking in before we get to all of the World Cup that's been happening. But first and foremost, a game that's just finished, Ruffy, was Japan, who defeated Germany by 2-1. Two belter goals from them to win it and shock the Germans.
Yeah, I think the Germans thought they were going to coast that game, particularly when they got the first goal. You know, they tend to... It looked as if they were trying to see the game out, thinking that Japan wouldn't have any threat at all, but the substitutions the manager made a bit of a difference, and the pace caught out Germany, you know, on numerous occasions in the second half. And you have to say, at the end of the day, I thought Japan really deserved their win.
Well, this is a mental World Cup, isn't it, Tam?
It is. I mean, how often have Argentina went ahead and Germany went ahead and both get beat in the group stages? Probably never. So there's been some huge shocks, and I see England's odds just keep falling as all these big guns keep getting beat. So that's got to be a worry.
Well, it's a worry if you don't want England to win. But Germany, their next game's against Spain, so they could go out.
Yeah, they've got to get something out of that game. You know, obviously you expect Spain to beat Costa Rica. I think that game's up just now, but. You know, if Spain beat them, they're under serious pressure with Japan on 3 points. They've got to get at least a point, maybe 4 points, maybe sneak them through. But if they get beat off of Spain, then they're out.
Yeah, big worrying times for Germany. We're reassessing everything. Every time it goes woefully wrong for the Germans, they start reassessing their entire backroom team, the grassroots football, the lot. So there'll be a lot of soul searching if they do go out. But still a long way to go. Give us your thoughts on the tournament. We'll go back to the World Cup, but we're going to deal with some domestic issues, and one that was just breaking, Ruffy, at the moment, again concerns Rangers, because it looks as if Hummel are now going to sue Rangers for a loss of earnings of about £9.5 million in their kit deal with Rangers. And yet again, Rangers find themselves immersed in a legal battle in court. I mean, it's just been a never-ending cycle here. And I think the worrying aspect of this one as well is that, as well as legal costs and going through the court system, and then obviously the fear of losing the case, is the fact that it's draining money that a lot of Rangers supporters are putting into the club.
Yeah, and as you said there, it's not the first time it's happened. Rangers seem to be never out of the courts, and you're right, we all know how much it costs. It's okay if you win it, you know, if you lose it, you've got all these expenses and everything that you've got to pay. It's come out of left field, you know. I don't know how long ago we talking, Peter, with that Hummel deal, you know. It's amazing how it just raises its head at this particular moment.
It's not that long ago, it's about maybe 4 years ago, I think. You know,
the story was after them, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, it's one of those situations where, you know, once you sign deals and you sign those documents, you better make sure it's locked tight and you have to honour them. And this is clearly another issue which Rangers need like a hole in the head, and as if to kind of compound the whole complexities of what's going on at the club at the moment, as well as looking for a new manager. Of course, the AGM's coming up. We already know the financial figures. It's just a small loss, but a loss nonetheless in their financial figures. Obviously, the board will have various people there who will not be happy with the way things are being run. I'm talking, of course, about the majority shareholder in Dave King. He's got about 15% of the shares, and he certainly is voicing his displeasure at what's going on at the club at the moment, certainly with the chairman, Douglas Park. I think he's going to vote against him continuing as chairman. This is what he had to say regarding Rangers, the way things are going at the moment. Unless changes are made to the leadership of the board, I fear we will be stagnating for a long time to come. Douglas Park makes the point he's put in all his money and he's not letting fans tell him how to spend his money. I've put in more than Douglas. I've put in more money than any one person in the history of the club, but the fans have put in a lot more than me. Just be honest with the fans. Tell them what you're doing with the money, then they will still back you. Well, I think Dave King, first of all, looking at the governance and the lack of transparency and communication.
Yeah, I think when you've got that many shares and you've got a big interest in the club, then you're entitled to voice your opinion. I think there's something going on between him and Douglas Park. They obviously don't get on with each other, and you can just see that in that statement there. You know, I think Douglas Park has obviously put money in, but the most important thing is the supporters. The supporters have put in all the money, and they need to know what's happening at Rangers. And I think he's right there. You know, I didn't think they backed Giovanni van Bronckhorst in the summer window there with cash. You know, not loans, just pure cash and bringing players in. And I think that's what he's kind of alluding to there as well. So, no, I think there is something in the background not quite right at Rangers at boardroom level.
I think Dave King has also been scathing on the way the whole Steven Gerrard situation was handled. You begin to wonder, I mean, clearly the writing was on the wall, and Steven Gerrard looked at the situation. He would have wanted to take Rangers onto another level again. Dave King said at the time, if Rangers win the league, Celtic will fold like a pack of cards. And I think he was looking for, the chairman then to suddenly find a substantial amount of money to let Gerrard take the team onto another level. That didn't materialise, and eventually Steven Gerrard left.
Yeah, that's reading between the lines, and unless he has hard evidence of that, why Steven Gerrard left, and he seems to know more than a lot of people, you know, that, but on the evidence of the players that never came in, you know, you've got a reason to complain about that. But I mean, people on these boards have to make decisions, and unless we all know that there was a lot of people had to be paid back money, you know, and we don't know how much that money is. So maybe the restrictions was there where you couldn't get any more money. They have to make decisions, and all you're really hoping is the people that are on that board are making the best interest decisions for the club.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes personal, then you don't know whose side you're going to take.
Yeah, well, from reading from his comments, it certainly guides you towards the fact that Steven Gerrard thought, well, wait a minute, there's not the money that I want to try and recruit the players that I want to get it onto the next level after winning the title. And then, in a short space of time, he decided he was out and Rangers had to look for another manager. In comes Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Again, if anything, if you read between the lines, he looked at the situation. He's only had 7 signings. A lot of them haven't worked out. He mentioned something that it stuck in your throat, Tam, which was basically you can't compete with what we have against what they have in the Champions League group. That was Giovanni van Bronckhorst's comment.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't like that comment. I think a lot of Rangers supporters, from what I've seen on social media, really didn't like that comment either. I think, just going back to the Gerrard point, it looks as if that Rangers, the be-all and end-all for Rangers and the boards and the people that put money in, was stopping 10 in a row. As soon as you stop 10 in a row, that was it. No more money coming. We've done what we needed to do. We've stopped 10 in a row. And they didn't want to go to the next level. And to go to the next level in European terms, you've got to spend money. And Rangers were in qualifiers, in winnable qualifiers, and they lost, I think, to Malmo. And if you really, really backed the manager and you brought in, really big signings, and you won that game. So I think from that point of view, I think he's right about Gerrard, and I don't think Gio was particularly backed either. But some of his comments, I think, led to his departure, and that was a big one for me after that Ajax game.
And of course, there's not been much from Giovanni van Bronckhorst since his departure, but certainly one of the things that's been quoted and attributed to him is his surprise that Rangers had Michael Beale so publicly at a game while he was still the manager. Mm-hmm. I mean, it didn't look good, Ruffy. I thought that was...
I said that on the Monday.
It was shoddy, to say the least. In your credit, Tam, you did say that.
Yeah, I know, but you have to ask Michael Beale. He's the person why he went to that game. I think he said he was invited by a supporters branch or a supporters club or whatever like that. That's why he's there.
He said he didn't say a proper goodbye to everyone, but yeah. I don't think it's a good idea. Oh. Many a manager said, there's no proper goodbye when the other manager's under real pressure. That doesn't look good if you're sitting in the stands.
No, I suppose it doesn't, but if Rangers were playing well and they were winning games and he was in the stands, nobody would make a meal of that. If he was winning. But
that's the point. They weren't winning.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if they had been winning, would it have been a problem?
No, but it's a problem because they're not winning, Ruffy. You don't get somebody who everybody suddenly in a 2-week period prior to it are talking about Michael Beale. The Rangers fans are talking about Michael Beale coming in 2 weeks prior to when he eventually showed up.
Yeah, I think it's an unwritten rule amongst managers that if a manager's under serious pressure and you're a manager that linked to the job or out of job or whatever, and you're at the game, it's like vultures kind of circling over somebody's job. Do you know what I mean? And I said that on Monday.
I can't believe you don't get that.
I don't get it to the extent you are getting that.
I can understand why Van Bronckhorst was annoyed at that.
Yep.
Now, if the guy's been invited by somebody to go along to the game,
just say no.
Picture. He knows that manager's under pressure and he's going to be pictured at the game.
These are coming for you, but I don't think it's that big a deal.
Well, it'll be a big deal. It'll be a big deal if your replacement sitting in there one day just comes in, we give him a cup of tea.
He's here 3 days.
It's not good, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it was. I'm with you, Tam. You just say, look, it's not a good time to be sitting in the stand while the manager's under pressure, whether I'm linked to the job or not. It's one of those ones. I don't know. What do you think? Give us your thoughts on it as well. I thought it was a poor show. Certainly not what Giovanni van Bronckhorst needed at the time. Whatever way you look at it, suddenly you're in a situation where they've still got to find a manager now. Odds on Michael Beale seems to be the front runner. Amazingly, Hasenhüttl and Muscat have distanced themselves from the job. I don't think they were ever in the running for the job, but you always get your runners and riders in there.
Yeah, I think Hasenhüttl's done a great job at Southampton overall. I think he'll be looking for another Premier League job. Muscat, I think he's doing well over in Japan, and maybe it's too early for him as well. So no, I genuinely think that Michael Beale is the number one target, and his showing up at that game, and being in the boardroom and all that and speaking to people, I just think there's maybe something in it and there's something done already in terms of him coming in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, by the way, whoever comes in, Ruffy, when you get this latest situation with this court case, and obviously there's going to be a really feisty AGM on December the 6th, and a few people unhappy with the way things have been conducted and run. and where they are in the league table. It's never good having an AGM, Ruffy, when, of course, the fans are unhappy that you're not communicating with them. There's a situation where there's a loss in the accounts and you're 9 points behind your great rival Celtic. That leads everyone to believe there's going to be a stormy one.
Yeah, I think it will be a stormy one. Obviously, it's coming at the wrong time for the people that are there on the board. With everything that you've just said there, it's going to be a fiery one, but it's up to them to have any answers that get thrown at them, that they can dispel. I tell people, that whatever you're hearing isn't true, this is the facts, and then they have to just get over it.
Yeah, okay, there speaks a man who's been behind the 8 ball with the board.
Still is.
Yeah, still there.
We have
Run
an
away.
AGM tomorrow night.
Yeah, is your AGM tomorrow night?
He's not seen the posts on Twitter. The pictures where it's got the red stripe down. It's his face.
Have they got him on? They want him out?
Partick Thistle have I?
You can't have that.
Partick Thistle fans have your face and a no exit sign,
Are you genuinely saying they want? No way. Have they?
Ruffy's face was on it, the other day. Partick Thistle fans were doing it.
Is that right?
Rough out.
Any Partick Thistle fan who puts a red circle and a cross round your face needs to have a long, hard look at themselves, Ruffy.
I was surprised.
Probably him.
I only kidding. It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. I know. I just looked. I thought.
They had them in Neil Lennon and all that.
I know, but there's no way. Are you wearing a suit?
What kind of vegetable you think I'd be in? What kind of vegetable?
You're
vegetable head.
No, you're a cucumber.
No, tomato, no.
No, you're a cucumber.
Tomato when you come back for Turkey.
No, you're a cucumber. But by the way, is it going to be stormy tomorrow?
Yes, I think it will be, obviously.
Yeah. A lot of fans not happy with you on the board.
Yeah, well, I think the foundation are definitely not happy. No, they'll have a few questions to answer, but as I said there about the Rangers one, it's up to us to come up with the answers that we believe are running the club properly. And then it's up to everybody else to make their mind up.
Yeah, are you running the club properly, Ruffy?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, and I know the facts.
Okay, well, there you are.
Hard hitting.
Bit bullshit, it must be the first time. That's great, Ruffy. I wish I was a fly in the wall for that. Can we buy shares before tomorrow to get in there and to see what happens? Well, in contrast to what's happening at Rangers, and it's all the news that's coming out, we're waiting to see who they decide on as a new manager. Across the city, Celtic announced that they've signed a new player. Yuki Kobayashi is on a 5-year deal. He's a left-sided centre back, and he's going to come into the side. And I think when you look at Ange Postecoglou and his reaction to the whole thing, he's well happy that he's managed to get Kobayashi into the team. And the general feeling, I think, with Ange Postecoglou is that basically he has mentioned to quite a few people that he wants another signing in, at least 2, before the window closes, and there's the first one.
Is he coming in January, Peter? He's in January?
Yeah, and it's pending international clearance.
Right. No, I think that's great for Celtic and Celtic supporters to see their club and their manager doing business this early. I think you contrast it obviously to Rangers, who have got a few off-the-field problems at the minute, but Celtic are just charging ahead and getting their business done, and I think that the Celtic board will trust Ange. I think that the guys have brought in, particularly from Japan, have been very successful, so I think that's obviously a market he knows well, and I think that's a market that Celtic will try and get value out. I think when you look at Rio Hatate, for example, I think he's the main one. For such a young player, he has got potential to be a real top player and get Celtic big money, so I think that the Celtic board trust Ange, and they'll keep backing him, the players he wants to bring in. And
I think a left-sided central defender, he was looking for that balance for quite a while. Now that suggests to me that if he's a left-sided central defender, then I think someone might be looking at it. I think Stephen Welsh might be looking and say, look, am I going to get regular football here? Jens, and Starfelt and Cameron Carter-Vickers, something's got to give. I think there's a few players that are going to be going out in January as well.
Yeah, I think Welsh has got to make up the decision. I think he's a very good young centre-half, and obviously needs more game time. Maybe going to, I don't know where, abroad or down south or whatever. But certainly I don't think they should be letting him go, because he has showed at times that he is a very good young centre-half.
Yeah, they're going to have to cut their bill some way, and he has mentioned that a few players that might surprise people are going to go out.
Yeah, I think he's going to be ruthless. I think you've got to kill, the numbers at Celtic. I think they've got a huge squad of players, but I think you obviously got to go for quality over quantity, and I think that's what Celtic will do. They'll try and get the players out that aren't getting a game. Try and trim the wage bill and try and add better quality. And I think Ange is, they totally trust him in at Celtic Park. So I think whatever he does, I think you'll get the support, full support from the Celtic supporters. And it always helps when you're doing well, you're successful, you're 9 points clear. I think you'll get a bit of patience for the guys coming in as well.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on Celtic's plans. Are there players that you think should be heading out because they're not really going to make a contribution or don't have a long-term future at the club? Are there players that you think they need to address as far as the positions? Most people think that the next man in the door is going to be a striker. Is that fair, Ruffy?
Well, you saw again Maeda the other day. He's got all the pace in the world, but it's not controlled. That the goal he scored today, if he hadn't been offside, would have been a fantastic goal, but he was offside, and it's not the first time that's happened. Giacomakis, I think, is just a big, good centre forward who'll score goals in our league. But what does it cost you to get somebody above that level?
Yeah.
And where do you get them from?
Absolutely. Well, by the looks of things, Japan, because there's more than a few there at the moment. Give us your thoughts on that, and also don't forget, hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel. You're going to see a lot of activity and a lot of things happening on PLZ Soccer. Hopefully you're going to embrace it and enjoy a lot of our content. And I mentioned to you over the course of the World Cup that we will have some very special interviews and one-to-ones coming up over the next couple of days. And tomorrow I'm going to tell you about a special one-to-one that we have going out on Friday's show. So hopefully, if you are a big fan of PLZ Soccer and the unique content that we are driving your way, then listen in tomorrow and we'll give you details of a one-to-one that I think you will enjoy on Friday. And certainly it's a heartwarming story. So Friday, 4 o'clock, one-to-one is a special one. Other news, I have to tell you, Martin Boyle, I was there at the St Mirren game. He went off at half time. There was a worry. I think Lee Johnson said it wasn't the same area, but now we find out it's a cruciate ligament in his knee. He's had an operation in Qatar. It's not good.
Yeah, it's desperately sad news for him. I think, personally, I think that he's worked ever so hard. He started off, at Montrose and Dundee and got his move to Hibs. He's been a fantastic player for Hibs over 2 spells. He really works, his backside off to get into that World Cup squad. And for that to get taken away from him, a week before the squad's announced, it's desperately disappointing for him. And desperately disappointing for his country as well and for Hibs. So, listen, he's just got to try and get yourself fit again and get back. It's probably next season now for Hibs, but it's a real killer blow for him, and I really feel for him.
Yeah, and for Hibs, okay, good news, Nisbet back training, ready for a return in the friendly against Middlesbrough, but Boyle again, I thought when Boyle left the side in the February under Sean Maloney, they lacked any spark or flair, and I don't think they've got any. I look elsewhere on that side and I see nothing, and unless he's backed in that January window, I think Lee Johnson is going to find that the pressure cooker is going up to 11, never mind 10.
I think Lee Johnson would be hoping that McGeady would have been there, to maybe take a wee bit of the pressure off Boyle not being in the team, but that's not been the case so far. It was very evident as soon as Boyle come back, the first game he scored, didn't he? And he just lifted the whole place, the whole stadium, bought into everything that he does for the team. So it's a massive blow, but it remains to be seen, as you say, what they're going to do.
And it's a long road back. It's the start of next season after a pre-season, Tam.
Yeah, it's probably 5-6 months. A cruciate injury, but I'm sure he'll be back next season, at the start of next season. But it's really disappointing for him. As I said, at his age, is he going to get another opportunity to play in a World Cup? For Australia, this might be one and only opportunity that's been taken away by injury. Yeah,
it's amazing how there are sliding doors moments, Tam, because obviously Jason Cummings gets the chance to play in a World Cup. Not a great performance, I have to say. Didn't really make an impact coming on. I get the fact that he can say he's played in the World Cup, but some of the Australian pundits, I think, slaughtered him, weren't too happy with his contribution coming on. But then again, it's France. France looked fantastic, 4-1.
Yeah, I think it's difficult when you're coming on against France. I don't know what the score was at that time, maybe 3-1 or 4-1, and he's coming on. Just for him, as I said, to say he's played in the World Cup was fantastic for him, because it looked as if this time last season he wasn't getting a game for Dundee. You're looking, where's his career going to go? He's made his decision to go to Australia, which I think has been a great move for him. He's done well over there at Central Coast. Got his sell in the squad by scoring goals in the A-League, and he's played in the World Cup. But I think it's a bit harsh to talk about his performance last night, even though maybe the only touch he got was a centre when France scored. But France were different class. They're very, very good, keeping the ball. So much pace and power. Australia are outclassed, but I think Australia's best opportunity to get something in the World Cup is the next game against Tunisia. That's a game that they'll be targeting to try and get a point or 3 out of, because I think Denmark in the last game will be tough as well. Yeah, well, at least the centre he kept possession, got it to his own man. What we're all worrying about. We'll talk more about the World Cup shortly. You can give us your views on it. Domestically, of course, David Martindale was speaking about the Rangers job, obviously putting his money on Michael Beale as well. But he's the Livingston manager. He knows he's not leaving there. And in the second part of this season, when everybody gets back after the World Cup, David Martindale, in kind of bullish, confident mood that they can finish in a really high position.
Do I think this collective group can finish in the top 4? Yeah, I do. Do I think we can get top 6? Yes, I do. It's a collective objective at this point in time, finishing 10th. It is. It is. And the league can change very, very quickly, and probably taking away Celtic at this time are the team to beat.
I don't think there's any argument about that. But Livingston, I mean, he's looking high up the table.
Yeah, well, the way they're playing now, and the run of results they've had. I mean, going to Ibrox in particular, I don't think anybody would have seen a Livingston team 3 years ago going to Ibrox and possibly winning the game, or it ended up a draw. But certainly the players will be really confident in the way Hibs are getting on now. Aberdeen are in and out, and Hearts are minus some players. On form, apart from Celtic, I would say Livingston's probably the next best team in the league.
Yeah. Give me 2 or 3 players at Livingston that you think people might be sniffing around.
Nubly, the striker.
Yeah.
I think he's been outstanding. And we speak about Devlin all the time on this show. He's a tremendous player, tremendous captain, right back. Don't know whether he's happy at Livingston or whatever, but I think he's a player that can play at a bigger club. No disrespect to Livingston, he could go and play with Hibs or Hearts or something like that. So, no, I think that. But Nubly's a one for me, and as he has been linked to a few clubs, but I don't think Livingston would want to lose him.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what David Martindale said.
Nubly's handcuffed. He's handcuffed to the changing room. Nubly's got another year, remember, after this year, so there's a wee bit more leverage there on my part. With Fitzy, I'll probably listen to offers. I'll have a conversation with his agent. Did in the summer. Spoke with Jack. So if there's something comes up in the January window that suits Jack and it suits Livingston Football Club, I'm available to do business, for wanting a better word. I would never stand in the kids' way.
Yeah, Jack Fitzwater, but over and above that, Nubly, that'll be good. That's the music to the Livingston fans' ears.
It'll be interesting what he's got him tied to, didn't he, in that dressing room, because he's a big boy. Something chained him into something pretty solid.
Good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. I actually seen him at Arbroath. He went to Arbroath on loan.
Played against us.
I seen him in a couple of games on the Friday night BBC games, and I thought he's got something about him, big handful.
And Fitzwater?
Solid centre half, but as Davey said there, if you're out of contract and bigger clubs are coming in for you, and the wages are going to maybe get doubled or trebled, you can't stand in the lad's way. He's done really well for Livingston, good servant. Yeah,
absolutely. By the way, just a little footnote that I spotted, and I'm delighted. Couple of quick short stories, Ruffy. One of them is Dylan McGeoch. He signed for Forest Green Rovers. He had to wait 6 months. Now, I was a huge fan of Dylan McGeoch. I think when he was fit, really good player. Hasn't worked out for him. He's had to bide his time, and he's gone down south.
Yeah, and every time I hear his name getting mentioned, the first thing that springs to mind is the goal he scored for Celtic, I think for the halfway line when he was a young player.
Against St Mirren.
Yeah, he just ran the whole, half of the park anyway, and scored a fantastic goal. Injuries, yeah. I thought he was going to do it when he went up to Aberdeen. It never happened. Hibs as well, It might be another case that you need to get into another environment and different players. Players don't really know who you are. Might get you a head start down there. So, yeah, let's hope it goes well for him.
As far as other players, some breaking news on Tom Lawrence. He's out for Rangers until at least March. That news just coming out. And again, you know, Tom Lawrence, when he was in, people were really raving about his contribution, Tam. That's another blow for Rangers.
Yep, he started off tremendously well at Rangers, particularly in the big European qualifiers. You know, he looked the part, and he has been a huge miss, I think. Gives you that goal-scoring threat for the middle of the pitch, can run beyond the striker, and I don't think Rangers have got that type of player there, so I think that's a huge blow. And you're talking March, there's only, a couple of months to end of the season, so I think I think that's probably the best case scenario that Rangers are putting out, but you maybe not see him till next season.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, but as ever, I've mentioned that there are some really good one-to-ones on the way. There's some unique content, the regular football show, and of course, not only with our competition for Fandex, which is absolutely free, we've teamed up with Ruffy's old mate at Grieve Sports and Copa, and Kerry's here to tell you what you need to do.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with our friends at Grieve Sports and Copa to offer you the fabulous chance to win one of these World Cup retro shirts if you enter our World Cup hat-trick competition. All you have to do is tell us who you think will win the World Cup, finish top goal scorer, and who will be declared player of the tournament. The person who gets all three correct will go into a draw to win one of 6 vouchers to choose their very own retro World Cup shirt from the Grieve Sports website. And if you don't get all 3 correct, then don't worry. You can still subscribe to our YouTube channel for a chance to win. To enter, simply submit your answers in the feed below, and if you want to double your chances of winning, then make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. The winner will be announced on the day of the World Cup final. Good luck.
Yeah, there you are, and she's wearing a... Did you like that Scotland top?
Yeah, I definitely do, yeah.
It's 1982. It's one of yours, Ruffy?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the supporters out there would love to get their hands on that one. I think everybody loves the retro. I haven't seen a good modern day one yet on the park.
No. Is it fair to say, Ruffy, that it's...
The one you had, Tom, you used the French modern one.
France.
It didn't do anything for me. It didn't, you know...
Yeah, I don't think they'll be looking back with any great... you know, affection at some of the strips. I think there's a lot of them are very corporate, bland, but the market for it now. I mean, this is a Borussia Dortmund training top from 97, 98, but the market for these things now is massive, Tam.
Yeah, it is. It makes me wish I'd kept a hold of some older stuff when I was a kid.
Well, that's the problem.
That's why you're a hoarder. Aye, Peter's a hoarder. He's got a room in there for all stuff.
Oh, it's incredible.
But you've got an understanding wife that lets you keep all your stuff.
Yeah.
No, there's a huge market for it now, and a lot of people are really interested in the older style strips.
Yeah, and just as Tam mentioned that there, it was almost like a cry for help, Ruffy, there, as he said, you've got an understanding wife. Yes. It's just a different dynamic, you know.
Oh, you can never please her some of the times, really.
Tam, I'm good, you know. I will never forget his 70th birthday party when he thought your wife was the entertainment for the night.
He thought right said Fred had walked in.
It was priceless, and he's clapping me as if I'm bought something special, you know. I'm like, geez, peace. Fantastic, good old party, and of course, Ruffy. Hey, it's hard to believe it's a year, Tam, because we're now.
The birthday went
Friday
a year. Yeah,
71, Ruffy.
What a year that's been.
It's
really
been unbelievable. What do you get a 71-year-old who's got everything?
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's not getting another present after us.
Well, we've
glasses and gin and everything I got him.
Yes,
yeah,
great presents. It was wonderful.
It was a good night we had.
It was a fantastic night. Apart from Tom's wife, the other highlight of the night was when the cat came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm standing, why is there a cat here?
You didn't
why is there somebody dressed as a cat?
You didn't realise that it was a James Bond theme, but yeah, good night. Had by one and all. I think she was played by Honor Blackman, wasn't she? But yeah, good night had by one and all. You had a great night, Ruffy, by all accounts. So fantastic stuff. Your birthday on Friday, really looking forward to it. As is Jan the Staggy, who sent you that lovely card.
Yes, a beautiful card.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, good luck with the competition. Hit the subscribe button. What about the World Cup? Okay, France, I have to say, they did defeat Australia. Well done, Olivier Giroud, because he's now joint top scorer with the goals with Thierry Henry. Here's the 5 top scorers in French football down through the years. Giroud, 51 goals in 115 games. And Thierry Henry had 51 goals in 123, and Giroud hadn't kicked a ball at international level going through all the levels until he was 25. So it makes it even more astounding, Giroud's record. Griezmann 42 goals in 111 games, Platini 41 goals in 72 games, which is a really good strike rate. And Karim Benzema, 37 goals in 97 games. And Giroud, for me, Ruffy, is a hark back to that old style centre forward. Can hold it up, can bring his teammates in, can score goals with the head and either foot.
Yeah, I thought when he was at Arsenal, he was absolutely superb. I have to hold my hands up, and I've lost track of him. I don't even know who he's played for now.
I think he's at Milan.
Yeah, he's at Milan.
That's right, yeah. I mean, Arsenal.
And scoring goals.
Yeah, I like, that's the kind of centre forward I like. I like a centre forward like that who he does put himself about as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good asset to have as well. But it's a great goal scoring when you've got somebody like that.
Did he not play in the last World Cup and not score a goal? Played every game? Something like that. There was a stat that he played in every game and never scored a goal, or maybe scored one and won a World Cup. But he still played every game because, as you said, it wasn't just the goals, it was his all-round play.
Well, I don't know about you. You probably more than anyone, Tam, will appreciate this, but that's the type of striker I love to see. I mean, when I think of two players that I thought were absolutely top draw, one of them obviously, in fact both of them I'm still friendly with to this day. One of them is Mark Hateley, because I thought Mark Hateley was great. Flick-ons for McCoist or Mo Johnson, hold the ball in. He had a good left peg on him as well. He could score with the head or he could score with the feet. Chris Sutton, again, similar style. Somebody can lead the line. Ruffy's day it was Joe Jordan, who was an absolute master at it. In yours, Gary O'Connor, did you like the way was he a different style of player?
It's probably Mixu, Patalainen or Craig Brewster.
Yeah, I was going to say,
They're the two I played with, and great to play alongside, because every high ball come up, you didn't need to go. You didn't go for it, because they went for it and you just ran in behind.
And it helped you because you were a spineless centre forward. You didn't like getting any physical.
That was particularly if it was Bobo Baldi I was playing against. I would stay well clear of him, as you know.
But Patalainen and Brewster was great at that.
Brewster was terrific. When Brewster first came in, I played up front with him before I broke my leg. I played up front with him for a number of games and a few European games, and he was terrific to play with. He so intelligent. He knew where you were all the time.
Yeah.
Highly rated player, and Mixu was the same. But you get guys like that in the Scottish League. Obviously not the calibre of Giroud, but a lot of good target men have played in Scottish football.
Yeah.
Do you know, I can tell you when Mixu Patalainen came to Dundee United, just by sitting here.
Well, that is incredible, by the way. Suddenly,
1987.
And how do you remember that?
Because I was playing for Celtic reserves against Dundee United reserves up at Tannadice, and he came on the park that night.
Is that right? Did he score against you?
No.
A clean sheet, Ruffy?
That's brilliant, isn't it? No. Do you know what I was going to say to you? That's not the type of thing you remember. I was going to say to you, Ruffy, on that point, do you think sometimes if people drink a lot of water, they become more positive? You know how they say water's good for you?
2 litres or something.
Yeah, Gregor must have had 2 litres, because Gregor's usually on here battering me and anybody within his sights, and he's just said Ruffy looks good for almost 71. Well, there you are. Some people said Ruffy looks like he's 80, but Gregor's in a positive mood today. That's fantastic, isn't it?
I can't put my hand in saying it's water that's done it for me.
No, it's definitely not.
That's his mixer.
It's gin. It's gin that's done it for you, Ruffy. But everything in moderation. Yes. But for top scorers, Giroud, absolutely fantastic. Of course, that was just part of some games yesterday. 2 dull ones: Denmark, Tunisia, Mexico, Poland, 0-0. And then, of course, the Saudi Arabia commentary that I heard this morning. For the goals against Argentina were superb, Ruffy.
Oh, I can imagine, and
Saudi Arabian Peter Martin.
It really was, honestly. I mean, I don't know about people. I mean, I don't know about you, but maybe board members, heads of sport, or whatever. There's a lot of them out there who just like dull commentators. And I don't think so. I think there's a lot of radio commentators and TV commentators. You will never remember some of the great goals, but you'll remember great goals from some of the great commentators who get excited about it. Wolstenholme, some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. Great catchphrases, excitement when somebody hits the back of the net. I don't know about you, Ruffy, but football's an entertainment. You want to be entertained. The Saudi Arabian commentator, absolutely fantastic. Martin Tyler, Aguero, absolutely fantastic. The great commentators know how to encapsulate a moment.
Yeah, I'm fine. I've heard that one. But you've heard them. South Americans seem to be, they just go mental. You know, the Mexicans and Argentina, Brazil in particular, when they score, if you hear the Brazilian side of it, it's just great to listen. It just goes on, doesn't it? It goes, go, goes on forever and ever.
Is it go like that?
Go.
not too sure it's at that level, Ruffy. But yeah, I mean, you look back. Archie got excited when Dalglish scored at Anfield. That's what you want, isn't it? You know, it's just
as I said, you're doing yourself a disservice. I think your commentary on McFadden will be iconic for many years to come amongst Scotland supporters as well. So. No, you're right. You want to hear, passion, and people excited about scoring goals. It's the best thing in it. That's what football's all about. It's the best thing about football is scoring goals.
Absolutely.
What I thought was good today was Japan get the second goal. The whole team on the bench, the whole bench ran right down to that corner as if they were all mates.
And none of them get booked.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, exactly. But listen, that's the type of thing you want is people getting excited about great goals. I mean, when you think about them down through the years that we've had when we've been lucky enough, Ruffy, to go and commentate on some special games. McFadden, I can think of. I think Nacho Novo's penalty, Fiorentina, the helicopters changing direction is another one that springs to mind that I thoroughly enjoyed. The Scott McDonald scoring for Motherwell. I can think of, I can remember James McFadden scoring for Motherwell against Livingston. They beat 6 players.
Joe Jordan's header.
Yeah.
Thomas Hutchison's cross.
Against, it was Willie Morgan. Czechoslovakia, 73. And of course, John Hartson at Liverpool. Great goal. All these things stick in your mind. They're all great moments that people want to remember forever and a day. Anyway, some people like that. Some people just like the bland, it's a goal, that's 2-1. Depends on how you like your football. I'll tell you, the commentator will be going absolutely tonto on Friday if England beat the USA, because they'll be in a commanding position. It's been a really positive couple of days. I like to focus, Ruffy, on the football, not get caught up in what I call some mediocre punditry and some commentators who start to go right over the top with England. They only beat Iran, who were ranked rotten. And a USA are a better outfit, just a step up again from Iran, but not somebody that's going to trouble them yet.
No, I think I told you at the beginning, we had a guest at our Partick Thistle game last Saturday. We just sitting himself in one of the lounges. It was Graham Sharp.
Wow.
He was up, unfortunately, there was a death in the family, and he was up for the weekend, and his wife was away shopping, and he thought he'd come into our game. And I was talking to him about the World Cup, and he says to me, Ruffy, keep your eye on England. He actually thinks England are the real deal.
Is that right?
Yeah, he thinks all these young players are just going to come and explode at this big occasion.
Yeah, well, do you want to tell you something? Sometimes I think if you are, and Sharpie's a good judge because he's in there and he sees these players playing regularly. Sometimes if you look at it, we've had, I think, before this whole, proclamation that there's a golden generation and it doesn't materialise. Maybe this one, because it's not been as much hype around them. I mean, there wasn't a lot of hype, Tam, to suggest that England were going to win the World Cup. But now, because they've had a 6-2 win over Iran, some people have gone into overdrive.
But I think they've came into this tournament with low expectations because they were terrible in the Nations League. And I don't even think the Nations League, England were that bothered about the Nations League.
Yeah.
They played some top teams obviously in it, Italy and Germany. But I just think they've come into this tournament and, guys like Saka, Sterling, Kane, Bellingham, they have got really, really talented players. And if Brazil, I think they play tomorrow night, if they came out and they're poor, I think you would be worried, because they're looking at Germany and Argentina, and France were good last night, but you're looking for a big nation to put on a right show, so you think they're definite favourites, Brazil being the one.
Can I offer a bit of balance here? Basically, I understand. I understand. I understand him, but you, I tend to look to say, well, if England win, then I'm not of that. I want everybody to beat England. I'm looking at them saying, okay, if they win and they play good football and they deserve to win the World Cup, it would not bother me one bit. There are a lot of people that would stick in their throat. I just don't think in the back line they've got enough to go on and win the whole tournament. That's my observation of it. I'm not a kind of a... There's a lot of people who might be in this country find being anti-English is a thing, but I'm looking at their team, Ruffy, and I just don't think they've got it in every department.
No, I think middle to front they've got it. And
you're not going to win the World Cup with Harry Maguire.
No, I've not come to him. I'm just coming to him.
Famous last words. That could be up there with the two.
It could be. I know. But
what I would say is they certainly have got it on the bench as well.
Yeah.
And if some of the people that were coming on have got
Foden and Grealish.
But let me get back to the back.
Right.
Stones and Maguire won't win the World Cup.
Yeah. Okay.
That will be the letdown for England when they're put under pressure.
Well, the goalkeeper Jordan Pickford is just starting to get excited about this England team.
Yeah, it was a great game. 6 goals first game. I think if you look at the previous record of Iran, in the last number of games are very hard to beat, hard to break down, and I think we were very clinical in our approach. 6 goals. I think we had 12 shots. So. Lads are outstanding.
Okay, he thinks they were outstanding. I'll tell you one guy that was outstanding, and I just thought it was absolutely heartwarming to see him score the goal, and then the reaction was Jack Grealish. He met up with Finlay Fisher, who's a 12-year-old boy who's cerebral palsy, and he asked him if he could do a celebration, and basically Jack Grealish agreed to do this Finlay wiggle. And to his credit, I mean, Jack Grealish was fantastic with him and remembered to do the celebration. I think that's what football's all about.
Yeah, I think football players get a lot of bad press in terms of the money they earn and different things, but I think Grealish, I don't know him personally, but I think off the park he does seem to do a lot, for young kids, and that young kid is so excited to see him celebrating that. I seen him he was actually on this morning the other day.
News as well, yeah.
It is, and great for him, young lad with cerebral palsy, and still trying to play football, and so brave to be doing that, and Grealish promised him to do it, and it was great when he done it, because I'd actually seen the clip before England flew out, and I was thinking, would Jack remember that? And as soon as he scored, fair play to him, done the celebration, and that wee boy must have been sitting in the telly watching that and been thrilled. So fair play to him.
It's magnificent, isn't it, Ruffy? Because that's the type of thing that inspires a generation of people. And I think Jack Grealish's sister has cerebral palsy as well, so he can certainly relate to them. And it was great. By the way, Jack Grealish cost £100 million.
No, Tam's touched on it. A lot of people don't see what footballers do. There's a wee boy who goes to the Scotland games, and he's got cerebral palsy, and he's outside the park at the end, waiting and the players come out, and there's not one Scottish player goes by him. You would think they would all be wanting to get their cars and go away and see their family. He's there every game, outside, and every Scottish player goes up and says something to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, can I just say something, Ruffy? And I don't know, sometimes I think, certainly from, I don't want to get too deep into politics and the narrative that sometimes is put out there. I think football is an easy target sometimes. The majority of footballers, I think it takes somebody who's, I can't even think, there's a small selection of people that you might not think know how to conduct themselves, but the majority of footballers realise whether they're earning this amount of money or that amount of money, they put in a lot of work that's not seen. Yeah,
I think if you're asked to do something, you want to do it. I played with Hibs and different teams, and you go to sick kids' hospitals, maybe get letters in for supporters, who your favourite player, can you send me this or that? No problem at all. I would never ever, even in social media now you get messages, and you'd always try and help people if you can. And I think obviously when you're more high profile like Jack Grealish, you obviously must get bombarded with stuff, but you must do loads of stuff. I know Scott Brown, for example, does tons of stuff. The amount of messages I've got him to send kids, can you send me a wee 30-second video? No bother. Yeah. This wee kid's no well or whatever, and can you send him a strip? No problem. And I think that's great. Yeah, brilliant. One guy who I know does that a lot, certainly battling away with negative publicity at the moment. Yesterday when we went off air, Ruffy, suddenly the story started to break that Man United had agreed to part company with immediate effect with Ronaldo, and Ronaldo himself obviously released a statement regarding his departure from United. It was inevitable, to be honest with you, and he said, following talks with Manchester United, we've mutually agreed to end our contract. I love Manchester United, I love the fans. That will never ever change. It feels like the right time to seek a new challenge. I wish Manchester United
all the best. And it's over. The love affair has ended, and I think somewhere along the line, when the whole story is written about, Ronaldo probably shouldn't have come back, but I don't think in his first season he let Manchester United down.
No, I don't think so. I think the goals per ratio of what he played were there. You know, when we saw him when he got here, he just looked like the old Ronaldo. You know, somebody you would want in your team, somebody who got the fans off their feet, and he did everything. You know, obviously the second year a lot of things kicked in that, you know, obviously a lot of us weren't privy to behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, that episode just turned into a legal matter for me. The split had to be done properly legally, because it must have been a lot of money getting talked about passing hands.
Well, when he returned to Manchester United, Tam, I went down for the game against Newcastle to film some of the, people who were euphoric that he was coming back to Old Trafford. I think a lot of it was down to Fergie. He came back. They were buying 3 and 4 Ronaldo shirts at a time in the shop. He certainly paid his money back tenfold on shirt sales and the merchandise deal. They had the big posters up around Old Trafford, and he played his part in the first season. I think the second season, again with managers coming and going, it just all went downhill. Ten Hag definitely didn't want him. I'm not too sure some of the board wanted him, other than people from a commercial sense. Yeah,
I think the first season, I think Man United would have been relegation baller if he wasn't there. I think he scored 20-25 goals his first season. Man U were terrible. But listen, time waits for no one. And he's simply unable to play every game now. You know, he can't play every game now, and he probably wants to. He probably still thinks he can.
Yeah.
But he's lost a yard of pace. He's lost 2 yards of pace. I can see it when I'm watching games. And Ten Hag wants to go in a different direction. He wants to go with a younger, more energetic side, and there's no place for him there. So I think it's the best thing for everyone that he departs. He lets Ten Hag get on with it. I think he's going to build a good team at Man United if he's given time. And I think Ronaldo can go and finish his career maybe somewhere, maybe back in Portugal. You know, give something back to maybe the team that got him. Is it Maritimo, somebody like that? It'd be nice for him to go back to somewhere and give something back without taking 10, 20 million a year. You know, he's got plenty of money. You know, go back somewhere and give a wee bit back.
Well, I'm a big Ronaldo fan, and I'm sure I'm going to get it in the neck for it. I don't think he should have done the interview. That's the first thing. I think he should have waited and bided his time and just agreed to get out there. Maybe he had to force the issue by doing the interview because he felt as if lots of things that we're not privy to forced his hand. But I wouldn't have done the interview. But I think when he hangs up his boots, Ruffy, I think people will reassess Ronaldo as a footballer. I'm a huge fan of him, what he's contributed. I just think somewhere along the line, so what, he's getting old. Even an old Ronaldo's better than some of the mediocre rubbish that Manchester United have bought.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all along since I've been on the show. Records don't lie. You know, your CV at the end of the day, whatever you've done in the game is there for everybody to see. You know, and his CV is well ahead of everybody else, so that's what you've got to take him for.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Matt's saying Messi is 10 times the player Ronaldo is, and will finish with more goals and 5 times more assists. Matt, it's not I don't think we're comparing Ronaldo and Messi together. I mean, people have their favourites. Who's the greatest player of the generation that we've witnessed? Is it Messi? Is it Ronaldo? I think Messi is the better of the two, but I think the stats will back up that, you know, Ronaldo deserves his place as an absolute great. For me, he's top 5, Ruffy.
Ruffy, the thing about Ronaldo is he's tested himself in different leagues.
He's won it.
He's went to England, you know. He went to Juventus.
And let's not forget, Tam, they wouldn't have won the European Championships, Portugal, if it hadn't been for his contribution in the build-up, you know?
I think Messi obviously played in an unbelievable Barcelona side. But
you take this Man United last year and everything else is given. You know, you've got to wipe this last year at Man United and think about him the rest of his career. I'll
tell you another thing that's going to be interesting shortly. You know, Pep Guardiola's just signed a new deal which keeps him at City till 2025. He said that, you know, they're not looking into what he's won, they're just behind what he's doing at City.
I know, Khaldoon knows, and everybody knows that it depends on the results. And the results is not good, you never know what's going to happen. But the next chapter in this club that will be amazing for the next decade. It happened, incredible success for the last 10 years. It's going to happen in the next 10 years. is because it's so stable about the relations that we have for the area. In most of the clubs, the people support the manager, depends on results. Here, it's supporting conditionally because they know how everyone work hard to do the club as best as possible.
Listen, he's got the most amazing board. You know, he spent over £1 billion, still hasn't won the Champions League. Great manager, but I still think that needs to be delivered in the next couple of years, or people will have a look and say, in the brutal, cold light of day, Tam, if you don't win the Champions League, you're a failure. That's what he's there for.
Yeah, I think that all eggs in that basket this season and possibly next. I think with the addition of Haaland, I think he was the missing link for them last year. If they had him last year, 100% in my mind they'd have won the Champions League. They never had a number 9, a goal scorer, a killer in the box. I think they've got that now. And other teams, you know, are struggling a wee bit. The Spanish teams are out with the washing for me, bar Real Madrid maybe. Liverpool don't look great. PSG
he looked good last night.
He did. Disrespect to the players he's playing against, but he's come up against better quality. But I think this season is Man City are heavy favourites with the bookies.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean much, but they're big favourites to win the Champions League.
Okay, you guys had a wee guess at the quiz question. It was fairly straightforward, bearing in mind West Germany and, you know, as a united Germany, how many appearances have Germany made at the World Cup? And the answer we were looking for, Ruffy, was 18.
Wow.
So there you are.
Didn't know, we were including West Germany in that, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so 18 was the answer we're looking for. Just before we go, there's still a chance for you to go to World Cup worldcupfandex.com. Yeah, I got there, man. worldcupfandex.com. We're in there giving you the chance to play absolutely free. You can play at any time, at any stage, still jump in there and win some cash prizes. It's absolutely free to join and play and enjoy it. Here's a few details from Adam.
Come and join PLZ Soccer on Fandex for our FIFA World Cup 2022 stock exchange game. It's absolutely free to play and you have the chance to win some great cash prizes. You can buy shares in your favourite team and watch their stock price increase or decrease based on their real life World Cup performances against the expected points tally set by Fandex. You can buy and sell as many teams as you like, as often as you like, with winners being announced after every round. The PLZ Soccer family are waiting for you on Fandex. Head to plzsoccer.com and click on Fandex World Cup 2022.
Yeah, all you have to do is use your common sense, Ruffy, and look and see the players, see the teams, have a look at their form. We've given you an indication of their form going into each game, which is really good, and we do constant updates every day for Fandex on this one, so it's easy to follow.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people had Saudi Arabia and Japan.
If £10 pays about 3 million.
Oh, I was just about to say, well, you can you can use your dollars in whatever way you want in the game. It's absolutely free to play, but to be fair, if you have Japan and Saudi Arabia, it's something to be remembered. It's up there again. I mean, no sooner do we look and think to ourselves, look at Argentina losing, and then you say to yourself, Japan beating Germany. It's
particularly when Germany take the lead. I think that you're just used to them just steamrolling teams. But Japan haven't been the best of form this season as well, so that's a real upset as well. I don't think you've got a bigger win than Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. It's up there with Cameroon that beat them. Was it 1990?
Yeah.
When the Cameroon boys just took turns of the head smashing Kanija.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't they?
Remember the tackle, his boot come off? I actually thought at the time I was only 9, I thought it was his foot come off.
Yeah.
His actual foot.
Absolutely, out in the right wing. I know, it was, they weren't known for their good tackling skills, Cameroon. Anyway, the World Cup is on, it's ongoing. We are going to cover it all the way through. And throughout this period where there's no domestic football in the Scottish Premiership, we're going to bring you some interesting one-to-ones. Don't miss Friday. It's a really good listen, it's a really good watch. Hopefully you'll join us for that. But tomorrow, Tam's going to be back with us, and Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching today.